I never talk to strangers on a plane. I suppose a big factor is that I'm just not very sociable. And maybe it also is that I get on a flight with a plan of how I'm going to use my time, what I'm going to read, maybe what I'm going to listen to or work on, and I don't want to be disturbed. So I just stay in my zone and keep the head down. But last week, I flew from Dublin to Malaga, and all that changed. Welcome to the Inner Entrepreneur Podcast. This is the Inner Mentor series. If you're anything like me, when you get in a plane, you've already decided how you're going to use the next couple of hours. Because I certainly had. I had my iPad with me. I was actually working on the next Inner Mentor series episode. As I've said, I don't chat to people on planes. My wife does, I just leave her to it. She'll be chatting to who's ever sitting beside her within moments, but not me. Because I'm more of an introvert. I get in a plane, I sit down, I put in my headphones, I open up the laptop and I get stuck into whatever project I'm working on. So, as I boarded the flight on Wednesday morning, I noticed an elderly gentleman being wheeled through the aircraft door. Slowly he climbed out of the wheelchair, took a walking stick, and made his way carefully down the aisle. As luck would have it, he and his wife were sitting right next to me. Window seat, middle seat, and I was in the aisle. And for the first hour, I did exactly what I always do. I ignored them. Maybe I nodded a curt hello, but after that, I pretty much ignored them and I got completely immersed in my work. And if you've ever been working on something or created something, you'll know that feeling when you've been pushing or dragging with an idea, trying to get something to make sense, and then something clicks and the ideas start flowing. You stop trying, you're in the flow now, you're just creating, and that is the zone I was in, oblivious to all around me. When I was finished, I moved on to some journaling. A few thoughts had been floating around my head during the week, and I wanted to work them out on paper. And again, a flight, sitting for a couple of hours in an airplane, is just a great place to do that. Nobody can ring you, nobody can interrupt, and you're left alone with your thoughts. Then the old gent beside me handed his empty cup of tea back to the flight attendant, and he smiled at me. "You must have been terrified sitting beside me with that cup of hot tea," he said. I looked at him a little confused, and then it dawned on me. His hands were shaking slightly, so I guessed he was suffering from Parkinson's disease. I said to him, honestly, I was so engrossed in what I was doing, I never even noticed. His wife then leaned forward and laughed. She said, "You haven't stopped working since you got onto the plane." And I said, "Well, it's really not work. I just enjoy doing this." And that was the beginning of a conversation that lasted the rest of the flight. Now, this is really unusual for me. They told me they'd been traveling down to Spain for close on 40 years, and they had 2 daughters. They'd sadly lost a son to suicide. Imagine sharing information like that with a complete stranger sitting beside you on a plane. Yet, somehow, people often do. And maybe because they know they'll never see you again, maybe because they simply want to be heard, listened to, or that they feel they can trust you even though they've just met you. And they told me about their life together, all their travels, their family, their friendships, their memories. The old gent told me about his love of sailing when he was a younger man, and the places he'd seen and travelled to, the adventures he'd experienced. And they told me that they had made some great friends down in Spain. But unfortunately, in recent years, many of them had passed away. In fact, of 4 couples who were the closest friends, all the men were gone, except the old gent chatting with me. The 4 men in their closest group had all passed away, and one of them, he told me, was his best friend. And as I listened, I found myself looking at this man. He was probably in his late 80s, frail, yet somehow full of life and spirit, struggling physically and needing help to get up and to get off the plane. Yet there was something else there. Also, I saw joy. There was gratitude. There was a life. There was maybe some sadness, but how could there not be? Or maybe that was my projection. I suppose friends gone, health declining, a child lost to suicide, and the reality that there are fewer years ahead than behind. But I also sensed so much appreciation for a life that had been well lived, and it made me think, one day, if I'm lucky, that will be me. One day I may be old. One day my body will slow down or get sick. One day my friends won't be here anymore. And one day either my wife or I will be left behind. I don't think I'm being pessimistic or negative saying this. It's just reality. It's how life is. And whenever I find myself confronted with this reality, I always come back to the same conclusion. The lucky ones get old, and the unlucky ones, they don't. My own father is now 89. I think he's amazing for his age. Yet my mother passed away at 69. So she never got to experience old age. Instead, she had 5 or 6 years of poor health as her body succumbed to cancer. And these are our choices, it seems: die young or grow old. So I know I'll be very lucky to have another 20, 30, or 40 years. I can't slow down time. I love longevity, but no longevity hack is going to stop me from aging, which means that all I can do is ask, how do I want to spend the years I have left? I think you can ask this question at any age. After spending years as a palliative care nurse, Bronnie Ware wrote a book, The 5 Regrets of the Dying, from observations of the people that she sat with as they were close to death. And the number one regret? I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself and not the life others expected of me. Now that's worth repeating. I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. This was the most common, the number one regret, because many people realized too late that they'd followed paths shaped by expectations of family, society, or their own fears, rather than their own values and desires, rather than pursuing the life that they really wanted to live. So, what life would you live if you were true to yourself, not to the life others expected of you? That's a powerful question and well worth some time with a pen and paper. But here's the second regret. The second regret is, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. And I'm saying this to all you entrepreneurs out there who I know listen to this podcast. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. And this came especially from men who regretted missing time with family and relationships and life experiences because of an over-focus on work. Any of these ringing bells, setting off alarms, because so many of us are so focused on growing our business, on building wealth and achieving more. And yet, these are the regrets of people dying, that they wish they'd pursued the dreams and they wish they hadn't worked so hard. And when I talk to people at that stage of life, they never tell me how much money they made. They never tell me what the quarterly profits look like. They never tell me about their market share. They talk about people. They talk about connection. They talk about family, friendships, love, experiences, adventures, memories, the things that made their life meaningful. They almost never talk about the business they built. And I think that's a really important lesson for entrepreneurs, because we entrepreneurs, we're builders, we're wired to pursue more growth, more success, more opportunity, more achievement. And hey, that's not a bad thing. I think that's a gift. But a gift can also become an addiction, because if we're not careful, we spend our entire lives building successful businesses while neglecting the very life that business was built to support. We become rich financially and bankrupt everywhere else. So this episode isn't telling you not to build your business. Go on, go ahead and build it. Absolutely build it. Go create wealth, pursue your dreams, create success, create abundance, and build a life at the same time. Build your relationships. Take care of your health. Take care of your friendships, your loved ones. Build your experiences and build your contribution. Build the things that one day you'll look back, you'll actually remember, because they will actually matter. Because one day you and I may both be sitting in that seat, if we're lucky, and we'll be looking back. And the question won't be, how much money did I make? The question will be, did I live well? Did I love well? Did I spend my time on what truly mattered? And perhaps that's the real definition of success. Not just building a business, but building a life. A life that when you look back and it makes you smile and you say, that was a life well lived. And if that is your answer, well then, absolutely, that was a life well lived. Thanks for listening. I hope you found this valuable, and if you did, please pass it on to someone else who might benefit from listening. And as always, if something here resonates and you want to dig a little deeper, please feel free to book a discovery call in the link below. Until next time, take care.